We call it people technology.
Match 52 then of the Indian Premier League. Gee, it's a big number. It's almost over, the league phase. And Sunrisers Hyderabad would be sharing that sentiment. They can't wait for this IPL to just get over. They've got two more games. The penultimate one is against RCB at Abu Dhabi. It kicks off in just under half an hour from now. This is Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout. Got Gautam Gambhir with me. So too Ian Bishop. And we're only hoping and praying it's a game that's fun to watch, not the painful one that we saw last evening at Sharjah. Thankfully, it's a Abu Dhabi. And before I get thoughts from these fine gentlemen, look at the points table. And RCB knows that if they can pick up the 2 points today, they put some serious pressure on Chennai. In case Chennai slip up, then they could get a backdoor entry into the top two. They go level with points with MS Dhoni's side if they win. For Hyderabad, this is a season that just cannot end soon enough. Virat Kohli's won the toss and he's going to have a bowl first. Which are we going to see a team that actually puts up a fight today, or are the Sunrisers just done? A team that has literally little to no fight left.
Like RK Gautam, common sense would say that because Sunrisers is done, that it should be an easy victory. But in sport, we always say beware the team that has nothing to lose. So I'm not hanging my hat on an easy victory, and I'm sure Virat Kohli has said the same to his troops. Gautam will know, being captain, you go into this match here thinking Sunrisers just want to go home, and you could get a surprise.
Yeah, funny things happen in these last few games, even for teams that are out of it. Gautam, don't they? They sometimes gate crash parties. Sometimes there are unexpected results. Though Sunrisers, do you see them as the kind of team that can actually pull out an upset? Just seems like a team that's done for all practical purposes in this IPL.
Ronak, I reckon this is not going to happen this year because there's a lot at stake because there's a big auction round the
Yeah.
corner. So had there not been a big auction round the corner, these guys could have gone out there and played freely because most of these guys probably are looking to get themselves picked up in the next auction as well. So there's a lot for them to probably think about and perform on the in the middle as well. People like Jason Roy, who were never the first choice players, they would be thinking about the performance and the big auction. People like Priyam Garg, people like Abhishek Sharma, or for example, even Bhuvneshwar Kumar or Sandeep Sharma, all those guys, they could have played fearlessly had this been the first year and 2 more years were left. But this is not the case. So I feel it's difficult for Sunrisers probably just go out there and be absolutely free because there's still a lot on the table for and a lot on stake for a lot of players.
Okay, let's focus more on RCB, shall we? Surely that should be where our interest lies. This team is very much alive. They made the playoffs. They're trying for a top two spot. Gotham, what are the areas that they still need to work on? Do they strike you as a convincing team, one that's picking up momentum and filling ticking boxes with each game? They've gone in with the same team. I'll just confirm that. But it looks like they've not made any change to their overseas slots. So Dan Christian, George Garton all keep their place. So too does Shahbaz Ahmed. Does this strike you as a team that seems like they can be a real threat in the playoffs?
See, anyone can be a real threat, but again, I think that death bowling is still a question mark. Yes, Harshal Patel has probably carried this entire RCB on his own shoulder single-handedly. And that's the reason why they are where they are. You can talk about the impact of Maxwell, AB de Villiers, and Virat Kohli, but it is actually Harshal Patel and Yuzvendra Chahal who's actually got them into this position. Harshal Patel, imagine getting a hat trick and a fifer against Mumbai Indians, and in the next game against Mumbai Indians, getting a 4-4 and bowling those tough overs, bowling the fifth or the sixth over in the power play, and bowling those 2 or 3 overs in the death is never easy, and that has always been the problem area for RCB. But this guy has actually literally pulled them out of nowhere. And to be honest, I think he's the player for RCB and Yuzvendra Chahal. So that is one area still I would be a little vulnerable thinking about RCB.
Okay, you look at Arshal Patel. What a sensation he's been, Bish. He's eyeing Dwayne Bravo's record for the most wickets ever in an IPL season, and the numbers just get better and better. He seems to be the kind of guy that everyone wants to go after at the death, and everyone almost fails in doing so. He's up there on the wicket-taking chart. Numbers excellent at the death, and we wondered, would he be effective in the UAE, or did he have his best, 4 or 5 games in India? He's been outstanding in the UAE. The economy is better. The strike rate is sharper. This guy is here to stay. This doesn't look like it's just a half season or a one season fluke.
No, Harshal's been around for a long time, right? So let's not uh, get ourselves into that zone, as you well know, RK, that he's found something this season. Maybe he's just come to a better understanding of his game across conditions, when to bowl, what, how to execute it. So again, great credit to him and what he's doing for RCB. He will know as well that he's put in a lot of good work, but as they head to the business end of the tournament, the most important part, not that what has happened before is not important, but the most important part in pursuit of a title, that he's got to continue the work. The one question I have, or the one question to be answered, I like what George Garton is giving. Dan Christian, what, where is going to be his greatest contribution? They've given him a glowing sort of test of fate, but he has to
Yeah.
repay at some point. He hasn't taken wickets, he hasn't made runs.
Is that luxury position? Maybe both of you can get into this, that can be worked around, depending on what you're missing. Could they have been better off maybe playing Kyle Jameson or Wanindu Hasaranga in the long period of time? Would that have been more useful to RCB as things stand? And Christian in that position? Bish, you could go first.
I think it is a position that, okay, you might say he lengthens the batting order, so it might just give a little more confidence to the guys at the top to play freely, and he gives you an additional bowling option, so you don't feel as pressured maybe as a captain if one of your guys doesn't come up trumps on the night. But if Gautam has been referring to maybe the bowling still has questions to answer, there's another guy, as I mentioned before, that could have come in there. Okay, Dushmanta Chamira hasn't had a run yet, but he could fill that slot, or you could go for someone like a Tim David, or you could, if you want to go one in Hasaranga, depending on conditions.
Yeah, Gautam?
I would have liked Hasaranga in place of Dan Christian. I would always want to have a luxury as a captain to have two leg spinners, knowing that Yuzvendra Chahal has done brilliantly. Yes, he didn't have the best of games, Hasaranga, whenever he got that opportunity, but he's a quality bowler. And leg spinners, sometimes when you're playing IPL for the first time, can be actually under a lot of pressure as well. So I would have definitely liked the look of this side had they had probably Hasaranga in place of Dan Christian, or Chamira for Garton, because Chamira brings a completely different dimension to the bowling lineup. He can bowl 145, 150, and pace is pace. And we've seen
Yeah.
that year after year that someone who can bowl 145 can actually rattle the tail. And
It,
definitely they could have gone that way. Yes, Garton bats a little bit, bowls 130, 135. Dan Christian does a little bit of both. So that probably would have been a better lineup. Imagine Dushmanta Chimera, Harshal Patel, Mohammad Siraj, and two leg spinners probably, and then you've got a left-hand spinner as well. So definitely, I would have thought of making those two changes because see
it's
again,
such a, yeah.
AB at six, AB at five, and then you've got another what? You've got a left-hand batter at six, and then you've got Hasaranga batting at seven. Harshal Patel can chip in with the bat eight. Dushmanta Chimera, you don't need. You probably can strengthen your bowling lineup so that you can actually look to defend 150. And I've always been a big believer that a franchise or a captain should look to pick up a bowling lineup that can defend 140. And the moment you have that kind of a bowling lineup, it takes so much of pressure off your batting lineup. You
Mm.
don't want to have that question mark in your mind that we need to get 180, we need to get 180, otherwise this bowling lineup cannot defend that 180. Imagine the amount of pressure RCB has gone through for years after year, year and year, just because they were not confident enough from the bowling lineup that they can defend 140. With Dushmanta Chimera and Hasaranga, they could have easily defended 140, 150 on this surface.
It's such a funny selection. If you look at that team, Wish, you said you could go either way with it. You'd love to see Chamira. You wouldn't mind Tim David if they're looking for batting, but it looks like that position just changes the complexion of this side. If you put Chamira in there, then you've got Harshal Patel or Garton or Shahbaz Ahmed batting at six. If you put Tim
Mm.
David in there, then it doesn't solve the bowling, concerns that Gautam points out to, where you've just got two gun bowlers. You think in Chahal and Harshal Patel, and the rest you're not quite sure of. I'm just trying to think of which way Virat Kohli would go, and whether that first game, that 92 all out, plays on his mind, where he just wants the insurance with bat and isn't quite as worried at all.
I think he wants insurance, as I mentioned before, and I remember talking to, I think it was Dwayne Bravo a while ago when we were playing some CPL back in the Caribbean a couple of years ago, and I was asking him about a similar type of player for TKR, and he said, "Look, that player may not contribute a great deal, and different captains operate by different philosophies. I'm not saying this is the gospel, But he said that player gives the top order a little bit of confidence to play freely, knowing that if you lose something, he's to come in the batting order. Other than that, guys tend to tighten up because they know they don't have the depth. And from a bowling perspective, it gives a captain a little bit more peace of mind knowing that he has another option he can go to. So, yes, it's a balancing player and it depends on your philosophy as a captain. Remember, it's not that long ago, though. Gautam talked about RCB, but even last year, they were struggling to get consistently good totals with the bat as well. Huh?
Yeah, yeah, interesting. In fairness, though, Dan Christian hasn't done much. I mean, I like Dan Christian. He's still around at 38. Gautam, if you were to make the call for RCB, who would take that spot? Would it be Hasaranga?
I'm a gambler.
Yeah.
As simple as it is. Hassan. Yeah, Hasaranga and Shamira. Definitely, because see, again, I remember one thing when I got picked as a captain for the first time. All these franchises go batting heavy. We literally went bowling heavy, and we created a bowling lineup that could defend 130, 135 on that surface. So you could. It's why is it that you always want to have a batting heavy lineup? You can actually have a bowling strong heavy lineup as well with Hasaranga and Chimera. Imagine you're playing against SRH, which is anyways a deflated side, and you put extra pressure
Yeah.
with Jamira and Hasaranga. So you can actually probably just finish off the game there itself, and then Hasaranga can bat at number seven, and then you've got number six, and Shabazz Ahmed can bat at number seven, and Harshal Patel can bat at number eight. That's enough batting, to be honest. What has Dan Christian done throughout the tournament, and what surety are you looking for? If you're looking for a surety just from a psychological point of view that there is Dan Christian at number six, probably the same job can be done by Hasaranga as well. Who'll probably give you 3 or 4 overs of quality leg spin as well, alongside Yuzvendra Chahal. Against probably the four overseas batters as well. They've got 3 overseas batter. Imagine they've got the Virat would have had the luxury of 2 leg spinners against all the 3 overseas batters.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his season, and this is again, with due respect to Dan Christian, his highest score is 1. He's got 5 ones this. I'm just stating facts. He's got 5 ones this season, and he's bowled 8 overs in a total of 6 games. So I don't know, but and I was doing my
You,
notes. Yes, Bish.
you know he's gonna get 70 not out and a 5 wicket haul tonight.
I'm not much of a gambler like Gautam, but I'm going to say no, he's not. But anyway,
But if
I was
I'm
I was
sure, I'm sure if you would have captained the side, you would have definitely become a gambler. Even if
yeah.
you never
Well,
wanted to.
you know what?
I never
You know
gambled
what?
in my life, but I was actually literally forced to become a gambler because I had to take certain decisions, which were kind of a massive gambles in my career.
Okay,
two
interesting.
two IPL trophies tells you that it's worth taking a gamble. Gautam Gambhir's history will tell you it's worth taking it. And again, nothing against Daniel Christian, but he's also in the Australia World Cup squad, albeit in the reserve. So he is among the 18 best Australian T20 players even today at 38. So make what you want of it. Let's move on, shall we? Yuzvendra Chahal, outstanding second leg or response, you should say, to the IPL. We're wondering whether we've just lost the best of Chahal, Gautam, and it looks like that World Cup squad has given him or added a little bit of fire to him. He seems to be bowling better than he ever has. What's suddenly happened to Chahal that he's found his mojo again?
I don't know. Probably we, that's where the problem lies in India. Suddenly, guys who get picked for the T20 World Cup, you start criticizing them. You start probably looking into them from a completely different angle. Rahul Chahar hasn't done anything wrong, to be honest. And had Chahal been picked for the T20 World Cup and Rahul Chahar would have actually had the same kind of performances, then again, criticism would have been there on Yuzvendra Chahal as well. Yes, he's been bowling really well. It's not that he's only bowled well in this competition. He's really bowled well for a long period of time as well. But probably the captain thought, or the team management thought, of, for example, the selectors thought they wanted more speed or probably more variation or whatever the reason. I'm not the selector, so I can't talk about it. And suddenly, what happens is someone who's not in the international or a T20 squad, he starts doing well. We start talking about should he be there in the T20 squad. Now, if we've got the T20 squad, don't criticize the players, back them, and I'm sure they'll make India proud.
He's the only spinner in a list of 5 bowlers that have taken the most wickets in the UAE leg this season, which surprises me. I'm just going to bring that stat up. This is just in the UAE leg. We keep talking about Varun Chakravarti being the standout spinner, you think, but as far as wickets go, Bish, Chahal's up there, and he's surrounded only by seam bowlers.
Yes, and look, I take Gautam's point, and I think it's a very good point, right? it's not only the wickets that Chahal has gotten, it's the way that he's bowled. And as a selector, you're not, and Gautam's a captain, you're not only looking at numbers, but you're looking at the process of those numbers. And he truly has bowled exceptionally well. Unfortunately, the timing of his performance has come after the team has been selected. So it's a cautionary tale to everyone that timing is very important in the work you do. You've got to stay on top of your game. The moment you take your foot off the gas, that could be a pause in your career. So I think we in the press and we in the media can say and scrutinize. The selectors know they have a different viewpoint. I love it when people say, well, every time in the Caribbean, for example, World Cup team is picked, and then Romario Shepherd or Odean Smith comes up with a good performance post-selection. He should be in the team. Yeah, to replace who? Tell me who he's
Yeah.
replacing.
That's
Yeah.
exactly and again, I just want to make one more point that happens everywhere in the world. No one could have seen Chahal more closely than Virat Kohli,
Correct.
and he's the captain of the side as well.
Correct.
So I'm sure
Correct.
he must have seen something better in Rahul Chahar. That is the reason why he's picked. You can keep talking about it. We can sit in the AC room and talk about it, seeing the performance of Yuzvendra Chahal, that oh, he should have been there in the T20 squad. Imagine the captain who plays alongside Chahal. If he had gone with the other leg spinner, so you got to give it to the captain and probably to the player as well who got selected. So let's try and give them that confidence and probably move on.
Yeah, 100%. This IPL, it's funny enough. It's just made matters messy because of the kind of form that some of the players that are in the squad have gotten, and everyone seems to be better once they're not in the squad. That's just how cricket and Indian cricket is run.
Yeah.
But if you had to make a call, we have till the 10th of October to finalize squads. If you are going to, how much weightage are you giving Gautam to these last 10 days, 15 days? Rahul Chahar is not even making the Mumbai Indians 11 anymore. Are you tempted to say, no, I think on current form we should put Yuzvendra Chahal in?
I would not replace anyone.
Okay, lovely.
Absolutely not. To be honest, a very clear reason. When you picked up the 15, I'm sure you must have picked up you must have selected those players with faith, not with hope. Because selecting players on hope might not take you anywhere. If you had faith in those 15 players, and if you were absolutely clear on that in that selection meeting that these are the 15 that can win us the T20 World Cup, go with it, irrespective whether they're in good form or bad form. There has been the top players who can be in very good form, cannot have the best of T20 World Cup. So 15, I would not change unless and until there's an injury. Don't get overawed. Probably don't get into this theory of someone is not performing well, so we can replace him with someone else. I think that is where the problem lies in Indian cricket, to be honest, where we start going with the motion, thinking about, okay, this guy is better than the one which we had selected. We've got 15, back them to the hilt. I'm sure they'll make country proud.
Bish, if you were put in charge of Indian cricket, and I desperately hope someday you will, uh, what would you do if you were to make that call right now? Yuzvendra Chahal or no? They pick the team, back the team.
No, you're picketing it back the team, man. I operate on principle to a fault. If a guy was performing, you threw the same question at me, Ronak, if my memory serves me right, in the first half of the IPL. You threw the Chahar question out. And if Chahar was the guy performing up to the mark at the point of selection, it sets a bad precedent now to get rid of him and draft in someone else. Selection has a time and a place. It can't be that much prophetic.
Yep.
And
All right.
Ronak,
Yeah, Bobby.
then we should even talk about Harshal Patel as well.
Yeah.
The
Everyone.
why should
Everyone
not
in the
be
IPL
we
should
talk
Ruturaj
talk
about
about
Harshal?
Gaikwad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rituraj Gaikwad. Then there is Yashas. So many other players who've done really, really well in this IPL. Shreyas Iyer, for that matter, or Surya was not in form, and something Ishan Kishan was not in form. See, this is a never-ending debate. Let's
Yeah.
not go with the most. Let's just stop this debate here itself and say that 15. This is unless there's an injury.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no end to this, is there? Avesh Khan, Venkatesh Iyer. Who else do you want to put into the team? There's no end to this. Someday
Now,
the ICC World Cup will be.
at the same
Yeah,
time, don't make the cap so cheap. This is an
yeah,
India
absolutely.
cap. Just by IPL
Yeah,
performances is not the criteria for you to play for India. There's a first class structure there. There is Syed Mushtaq Ali. There is Vijay Hazare Trophy. There's so much of domestic cricket. That should be the criteria. IPL is just the icing on the cake. That IPL is not the cake. The cake is first class cricket. You got to
love
go
that.
there, perform, Don't just think as a young cricketer that I can come into the IPL, perform, and I have the easy way or an easy route to get the India cap. India cap should not be given for free or should not be given very cheaply.
Okay, brilliant. This is what you guys need to keep watching on loop now. Every time someone plays well in the IPL and Twitter goes mad, why aren't they in the team? But this is the video to watch. I tell you what, RCB have had a couple of players in terrific form leading up to the playoffs. Chahal with ball, Glenn Maxwell, finally the best of Maxwell. I spent a lot of time with Gautam Gambhir last season, and we were waiting for the best of Maxwell. It's amazing how he's done well, Gautam, in India as well as in the UAE now. Goes into this game as well on the back of consecutive half centuries. We thought we were done seeing the best of Maxwell. Just seems like change of franchise is all that's made a difference. Or has there been anything else?
Just change of form. People keep talking about Maxwell. Oh, you know what? He's gone to RCB. He'll start performing and all that stuff. What different has any other franchise done to him? None of the franchise have been bad to Maxwell. He's been picked at a very high price by Punjab Kings as well. They gave him an opportunity as well at number 4, 5. Delhi picked him at a very high price. Delhi gave him a lot of opportunity, but made him bat at every number. It's just the form. So suddenly, when we start talking about that a certain player has gone to a certain franchise and suddenly he starts delivering, so you start talking. You know what? He could have been in a happier dressing room or could have been in a happier environment. Every dressing room is a happier dressing room. Every environment is a environment. Unless and until you yourself is not happy, that's your problem, not the franchise problem. And I've been part of two franchises. I literally had there was no difference, to be honest, because I enjoyed both the environments. So it's just probably it comes down to form, and people like Maxwell, players like Maxwell, they thrive on form. If they're in very good form, you'll get the performances like what you've got this time around. When they're in bad form, probably you'll get the kind of performance what you got in the previous season.
What we're seeing also, Bish, is a terrific Glenn Maxwell against spin. Now, there have been times in the past where he was asked about whether he struggles against leg spin. I remember him in an Australia press conference get particularly annoyed with that question and use some colorful language to say he has no problems against spin. And that's what we're seeing from the highest strike rates against spin. Maxi's right up there among the top three. And you also have him hitting a lot of sixes against spin. Right on top of that list, 15 sixes against spin, and that's nearly twice as many as those in 2 and 3, Ruturaj Gaikwad and Moeen Ali. What does that tell you about where Maxi's game is right now, Bish?
It's at his premium, and I think he put something on social media that it's not only in the IPL this year that he's been playing well. He's been playing well internationally. Look, I just add to what was said previously that sometimes you just go into a specific dressing room at a certain stage of your life, and just the atmosphere, the people that you're around seem to gel with you. It's nothing wrong with previous franchises. You're just at that stage in your life where these things appeal more to you and you're just comfortable and you're in good touch. He didn't hit a six last year at all in the entire IPL, did he? Suddenly, he's come and he's hit 15 of his spinners. So I can imagine the posture of KL Rahul and the management of the Punjab Kings sitting back thinking, this bloke didn't hit a single six for us in the entirety of 2020, and he's hit 15 off spin alone. But credit to Maxwell. He really has been the boost that I actually needed.
Is he a player that you would now, on the basis of this, and you know what Maxwell demands at auctions, on the basis of this season, are you tempted to retain him or gamble with him going into the auction, see if you can use an RTM? We don't know what the rules of the auction will be, but just looking at this form, is he a player that's that valuable that you want to retain him before next season?
So I'll tell you one thing. I'm very honestly, I answer that. I'm very ruthless on that front, to be honest, and it is important to be ruthless when you're actually looking about developing a franchise or going forward with a franchise. Probably AB has probably in the is in the later half of his career. Probably I would not retain AB and retain Virat Kohli and Maxwell, and probably use my right to match card for AB de Villiers. I would definitely retain Maxwell ahead of AB de Villiers because Maxwell still have another 6 or 7 or 8 years of his prime. Unfortunately, AB does not because he doesn't play any international cricket. Though he's a freak, he's a genius, but then sometimes you got to be absolutely practical.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. You could hear an announcement of retirement from AB at any point, and you won't hold it against him. Bish, same question to you: does Maxwell now hold greater value to this franchise at least than even AB de Villiers?
I agree. I have nothing different. You can't make emotional decisions. I think watching at the IPL auctions in years gone by, I think I've seen some decisions which have been emotional ones, and not common sense ones. And I'm not saying it's easy to predict someone's form, but Gautam has hit the nail on the head. It doesn't mean that you don't like AB de Villiers, you don't respect his body of work and what he's done for cricket across the globe. You are just looking at who has the bigger upside for the next couple of years of RCB cricket. And that time comes to everyone. I don't know whether it's that time for AB, but certainly based on what we've seen this season, that would almost be a common sense approach.
Well, AB de Villiers, if we get to see him back today, we should see more of de Villiers. This different role that he's got for RCB is deprived us of a little bit of AB, the kind of form Maxwell's been in. But if he comes up against Rashid Khan today, he wouldn't mind actually coming in a bit later or just doing the job that he's been told to do towards the end. If you ask Cricinfo how AB de Villiers goes against Rashid Khan, the numbers are significantly in favor of the Afghan legend, already a legend, really, T20 legend. Let's just go show you that now. Gautam, I hope you've checked this out. It's very cool. We just put in a very specific T20 query, and Cricinfo gives you the answers. Bish can give you the answers as well, but he's not always available. So when he's not, we go to Cricinfo. AB de Villiers
Yeah.
versus Rashid Khan in the IPL. Imagine how specific that is. What do we
Right.
got? 38 runs, 37
Wow.
balls. Where are the dismissals? There, wickets, 3 dismissals. So he's been dismissed 3 times in 6 innings. That's not a lot of runs. 4s and 6s, 3 4s, no 6s for AB against Rashid. What a good stat that is, Bish.
It is tremendous, and it makes me feel so much better that you actually typed that in a way that Ask Cricinfo could understand. Because I have a complaint that I tried to type in something yesterday and I could not get the response. So my language of typing definitely needs some work. The answer was in there somewhere. I just couldn't put it in as writing.
I'm not quite sure if that is a good plug or a promo for our product or not. So
No, it's a
get
great
back.
plug. It's a great plug. It tells me to go back to school, go back to classes, and learn to type things in an understandable way.
Simpler fashion, yeah, just easy, just maybe easier. Or try the. Okay, no, let it be. I don't want to joke around with this, but it's a great stat. What's very interesting is the Sunrisers openers have come out, and I don't think I got a glimpse of Ridhiman Saha. From what I can see, the corner of my Jason Roy has definitely walked out. But Abhishek Sharma is opening the batting, Gotti. How interesting is that?
Yeah, it's another opportunity for a young lad. Hopefully, he can grab it with both hands, and then he's now got the opportunity to open the batting. I don't know what's happening with Sunrisers. I don't know whether Sirdhiman Shah is even playing. If he's playing,
Now
then he
he's
should
playing
be
the same
then
team.
he should
It's
be
the same
then he
team.
should be opening the batting. I don't know what's the reason. Probably they think that left hand right combination, which now has become a huge probably thing going forward, that everyone needs a left hand right combination in the middle. A quality bowler is a quality bowler against any batter, or a quality batter is a quality batter against any bowler. It really doesn't matter whether you're playing against Rashid Khan. For Rashid Khan, left hand, right hand does not really matter. For Varun Chakravarti, Sunil Ryan, it really does not matter. So a quality bowler is a quality bowler. So I don't know, probably another opportunity. Hopefully he can grab this
Yeah.
opportunity.
Anything happens in Sunrisers games. So let's just see how things go. Thank you very much, Ian Bishop. Gautam Gambhir, pick up the chat in 20 overs on Maruti
Great.
Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout. Do join us then. Remember, the Sunrisers get some runs here. Put RCB under pressure. Then you never know. Otherwise, RCB would fancy themselves to catch up with CSK. So this is an important game.
We call it people technology.